My wife Christina made a cruel comment about my 84-year-old mother's appearance at our Thanksgiving gathering, saying someone should tell her that dress isn't for her age, loudly enough that my mother heard every word while sitting 3 feet away at the head of the dinner table. My mother pretended not to hear, but I saw her push her plate away and excuse herself to the bathroom for 20 minutes while 15 family members sat in stunned silence. What Christina didn't know was that my mother Barbara had been secretly transferring her life savings, $340,000 accumulated from selling her childhood home in 2015, into a trust fund for our grandchildren, and she had planned to announce it after dessert. The next morning, my mother called her accountant from her bedroom, and I heard her say the words, "I want to make some changes." But before we get to that, do us one quick favor. Subscribe, hit the like button while you're at it, and comment where you're listening from so we can see how far these stories are reaching. My name is Michael, and this is the story of how I watched my wife's cruelty destroy the future we thought we had. Thanksgiving was at my parents' house like it always had been. My wife Christina and I had been married for 11 years. We had 2 kids. We had the house in the suburbs, the car, the whole middle-class American picture that looks good on paper. My mother Barbara was 84 years old. She had lived in the same house for almost 50 years. She raised me and my sister there after my father died in 1998. In 2015, she finally sold it and moved into a smaller place nearby. She used the money from that sale to build up her savings. She never talked about how much was there. I never asked. My mother had been acting strange for weeks before Thanksgiving. She kept making phone calls. She wrote things down on legal pads. She asked me weird questions about the kids' college plans, about whether Christina and I had thought about saving for their futures. I noticed these things. I stored them away. I didn't push her on it because my mother had always been a private person. She would tell me what she wanted me to know when she was ready. Thanksgiving morning, I woke up at 6. The kids were still asleep. Christina was still in bed. I drove over to my parents' house to help with the final preparations. My mother was already in the kitchen when I got there. She was wearing a blue dress that I had never seen before. It was nice. It fit her well. She had obviously picked it out special for the day. "You look nice, Mom," I said. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She was nervous about something. I could tell by the way she kept checking her phone, the way she glanced at the clock every few minutes. "Michael, I want to talk to you about something after dinner," she said. "I have an announcement to make, something happy." "Okay," I said. "Is everything okay?" She nodded but didn't say anything else. She went back to arranging the rolls on the serving platter. My father would have known what to ask. He would have drawn her out, but I had always been more like my mother. Quiet, observant. I waited for people to come to me. The doorbell started ringing around 1 o'clock. My sister arrived with her husband and their 2 kids. My aunt and uncle came next, then my cousin with his new girlfriend. The house filled up with the normal chaos of a family holiday. Kids running through the living room, adults talking over each other in the kitchen, the football game murmuring from the television. Christina arrived around 2. She had stopped to get her hair done. She looked polished and put together. She kissed my cheek in the entryway and headed straight for the kitchen to help my mother. I watched them from the living room. Christina was saying something. My mother nodded and stepped back. Christina took over arranging the food. My mother sat down at the kitchen table and watched her. At the time, I didn't think much of it. Dinner was at 3 o'clock. We had the big table in the dining room and a second table in the living room for the kids. My mother sat at the head of the table like she always had. That was her spot. My father's spot was empty. The chair was still there, but no one ever sat in it. My mother had asked me to say the blessing before we ate. I took everyone's hands. I thanked God for the food and the family and the year we had. When I opened my eyes, I noticed my mother was looking at Christina. Christina was looking at my mother's dress. The dress was blue. It had some lace on the sleeves. It came down to her knees. It was nice, but maybe not the kind of thing most 84-year-old women would wear. I didn't see anything wrong with it. "Barbara, that dress is very pretty," my aunt said from across the table. "Thank you," my mother said. "It's a young style," my aunt added. "You look 10 years younger." My mother smiled. I could tell she appreciated the compliment. She touched the collar of the dress and sat up straighter in her chair. Then Christina spoke up. "Someone should tell her that dress isn't for her age," she said. She said it loud enough that everyone at the table could hear. She said it loud enough that my mother heard every word sitting 3 feet away. The room went quiet. I watched my mother's face. Her smile disappeared. Her hand dropped from her collar. She looked down at her plate and didn't say anything. No one said anything. 20 people in that room, and not a single person spoke up. "Thank you for the turkey," my mother said finally. Her voice was steady, almost normal. "Christina, the turkey came out perfectly." She looked up and smiled. It was the fakest smile I had ever seen on her face. Christina nodded and started passing the gravy boat to my uncle like nothing had happened. My mother pushed her plate away. She excused herself to the bathroom. She was gone for 20 minutes. I sat there and I watched. I stored it all away. I knew my mother was upset. I knew that comment had hurt her. When she came back from the bathroom, her eyes were red but dry. She sat back down at the table and asked my cousin about his new girlfriend. She laughed at my nephew's stories about school. She played her part. But I noticed she didn't eat anything. She pushed the food around her plate. She took small sips of water. Every few minutes, she would look at Christina and then look away. Christina didn't seem to notice, or maybe she did and didn't care. She was busy talking to my sister about a vacation they were planning. She was showing my aunt pictures on her phone. She was the life of the party like she always was. After dinner, the women cleaned up in the kitchen. The men watched football in the living room. My mother came to sit down in the armchair next to me. "You okay?" I asked her quietly. "I'm fine," she said, "just tired." She watched the game for a while, then she leaned toward me. "I was going to make an announcement after dessert," she whispered. "I wanted to tell everyone about the trust fund I set up for the grandchildren, the money from the house sale. I've been working with my accountant for months." I looked at her, the trust fund, the money from the house. She had been saving it all for the kids. "That's amazing, Mom," I said. She nodded. "I was going to announce it tonight. Tell everyone how much I've put away. Give each grandchild a financial start for college or their first house or whatever they need." She stopped talking. She looked across the room at Christina, who was laughing at something in the kitchen. "But now I'm not so sure," she said. "I'm going to need to make some changes." I didn't ask what she meant. I didn't push her. I just nodded and went back to watching the game. We left my parents' house around 8 o'clock. The kids were tired. Christina was already in the car checking her phone. I gave my mother a hug at the door. "Call me tomorrow," I said. She nodded. "I will. I love you." "Love you too." I got in the car. Christina drove. She was talking about the plans she had made with my sister, about a Black Friday sale she wanted to hit, about anything and everything except what had happened at the dinner table. "You really upset my mother tonight," I said. Christina glanced at me. "What, because of the dress comment?" "Yeah, because of the dress comment." "I was just being honest," she said. "That dress was too young for her. Someone needed to say it." "She heard you." She was sitting 3 feet away. Christina shrugged. "I didn't say it that loud. She probably didn't hear." She heard. We both knew she heard. The rest of the drive was quiet. The next morning I woke up early. Christina was still asleep. The kids were in their rooms playing with their new toys. I went down to the kitchen to make coffee. I heard my mother speaking from upstairs. Our house had 2 floors. The master bedroom was above the kitchen. I could hear her voice through the ceiling. She was on the phone with her accountant. I stood at the bottom of the stairs and listened. "I want to make some changes," she was saying. "I want to remove some names from the trust. I want to revise the beneficiary designation. Yes, I'm sure. Yes, I'll come by your office this afternoon." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "No grandchildren left out. Every single one of them will still be provided for, but I need to make some adjustments. Some people don't deserve to benefit from my generosity anymore." I didn't move, I didn't breathe. "I'll see you at 2, she said. Then she hung up. I heard her footsteps on the stairs. She came down and saw me standing there. "Good morning, Michael," she said. "Did you sleep okay?" "Mom, I heard you on the phone." She didn't deny it. She didn't apologize. She just nodded and walked past me into the kitchen. "Coffee?" she asked. "Yeah, Mom, what are you doing?" She poured 2 cups. She handed me one. She sat down at the kitchen table. "I was going to tell you this after Thanksgiving," she said, "but I think you should know now. I've had $340,000 in savings from the house sale. I've been putting it into a trust fund for all 4 grandchildren. College, first cars, weddings, whatever they need." I knew the number was substantial, but I didn't react. I just waited. I was going to announce it last night, but after what Christina said, she stopped. She stirred her coffee even though there was no sugar in it. "I'm not a cruel person, Michael. I don't like to punish people, but I also don't like being disrespected in my own home, especially not by someone I opened my home to." "What kind of changes are you making?" She looked at me. Her eyes were clear. She had thought this through. "I'm taking Christina's name off everything," she said. "She's not a beneficiary. She won't see a penny. The money will go to you and the kids. It will go to your sister and her kids. It will go to any future grandchildren, but Christina gets nothing." I didn't know what to say. Christina's name had been on my mother's accounts because she was my wife, because my mother trusted her. "Mom, you don't have to do that because of one comment." "It's not just one comment," my mother said. "That comment told me everything I need to know about who she is. She humiliated me in front of my whole family. She knows what that dress means to me. I bought it last week. I picked it because it reminded me of a dress I wore to my anniversary party with your father, 52 years ago." I had never heard that story. "She doesn't care about me," my mother said. "She cares about image, about how things look. That's not a person I want controlling money that belongs to my grandchildren." She stood up. She put her cup in the sink. "I'm going to the accountant this afternoon," she said. "I'll call you after it's done." She left the kitchen. I heard her footsteps on the stairs. She was staying in the guest room. She had come over last night to help with Thanksgiving cleanup that we never finished. Christina came downstairs around 9. My mother was in the guest room. Christina made herself breakfast and sat at the kitchen table scrolling through her phone. "Your mom's still here?" she asked. "She's staying for a few days, helping me clean up from yesterday." Christina nodded. She didn't look up from her phone. After breakfast, she left for the Black Friday sales. She kissed me at the door and told me she might be gone all day. I watched her car disappear down the street. My mother came downstairs around noon. She was dressed for outside. She had her coat on, her purse. "I'm going to the accountant," she said. "Mom, are you sure about this?" She nodded. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." She left. I sat in the living room and thought about what was happening. I thought about my father, how he had taught me to stay calm, how he had taught me to watch people carefully, how he had said, "Son, the people who talk the loudest usually have the least to offer. The people who stay quiet are the ones you need to watch." I thought about Christina, how she had changed over the years, how she had started making comments about my mother, first small things, then bigger things, how she had started Chinese letter ing about the time we spent at my parents' house, about how my mother wasn't young enough anymore, about how the house smelled funny, about how my mother dressed, about how my mother talked, about everything. And I thought about last night, about what my mother was losing because of Christina's cruelty. 2 hours later, my mother came back. She had paperwork in her hand. "It's done," she said. "Christina is no longer a beneficiary. The money goes to you and the kids, all of it." She handed me the papers. I flipped through them. They were in legal language I didn't fully understand, but the summary page was clear. New trust documents, new beneficiary designations. Christina's name had been crossed out and replaced with mine. "Mom, you don't have to say anything," she said. "I know you're worried about your marriage. I know this might cause problems, but I need you to understand something, Michael. I watched you last night. I watched how you sat there and did nothing. I watched how you didn't defend me." My stomach tightened. "I'm not saying you should have caused a scene. I'm not saying you should have yelled and screamed like some people would have, but I watched your face. I saw the way you looked at her. You know she was wrong. You know what she said was cruel, and I saw you file it away. I saw you store it. That's who you are. That's who your father was." She sat down next to me on the couch. "I don't need you to defend me," she said. "I'm 84 years old. I've defended myself my whole life, but I need you to understand something. That money wasn't just money. It was my legacy. It was your father's legacy. I was going to give it to our grandchildren. I was going to give Christina a gift because she married into this family, and she repaid that by humiliating me at my own dinner table." She took my hand. "She'll find out eventually, and when she does, she'll try to make you choose. She'll try to make this about you not defending her, but I need you to remember what she did. I need you to remember how she acted, and I need you to decide who you want to be." Christina came home that evening with shopping bags. She was in a good mood. She showed me the clothes she had bought, the deals she had found. She wanted to know what we were having for dinner. "Is your mom still here?" she asked. "She's in the guest room." "Okay, I'm going to take a shower." She headed upstairs. My mother came out of her room and went into the kitchen. I heard her starting to make dinner. Christina didn't say anything about the trust fund. She didn't find out for another 3 months. In that time, things changed between us. I don't know how to explain it. I was different. I watched her differently. Every comment she made about my mother, every sigh when we visited, every eye roll when I talked about family traditions, I stored it all. I started keeping a mental list, not even consciously, it just happened. There was the time she said my mother's house smelled like old people, the time she complained about having to drive over for Sunday dinners, the time she said my mother's cooking had gotten worse over the years, the time she made a joke about my mother's hair at Christmas, the time she said my mother should stop driving because her reaction time was too slow. On and on, a pattern of small cruelties that added up. I didn't confront her about any of it. I didn't know what good it would do. I just observed. I waited. The truth came out in March. My mother had to go back to the accountant for some final papers. She asked me to come with her. Christina was at work. The kids were at school. The accountant walked us through the documents. He explained the changes. He talked about tax implications and estate planning and all that stuff I didn't understand. But the bottom line was simple. The trust belonged to my mother. It would pass to me and the children upon her death. Christina had no claim. On the drive home, my phone rang. It was Christina. "My mother called me," she said. Her voice was cold. "What?" "My mother, she called me. She said she heard from Aunt something about a trust fund, about how your mother changed the paperwork, about how my name was taken off." I didn't say anything. "Michael, what the hell is going on?" I pulled the car over. My mother was sitting in the passenger seat. She looked at me but didn't say anything. "Let me explain," I said. Explain what? Explain how your mother cut me out of her will. Explain how you're hiding money from me. It's not my money, I said. It's my mother's money. She can do whatever she wants with it. But she was going to give it to us, right? She was going to give it to all of us, the whole family. She was. She had planned to announce it at Thanksgiving. She was going to give $340,000 to all the grandchildren equally. Then what changed? I hesitated. I looked at my mother. She nodded. Christina, remember the comment you made about my mother's dress? Silence on the other end. What comment? The dress comment. At Thanksgiving, you said someone should tell her the dress isn't for her age. You said it loud enough that she heard. More silence. That's what this is about, a dress comment. Your mother is cutting me out because of one dress comment. She's not cutting you out, I said. She never included you in the first place. The money goes to the grandchildren. That's how it always was. You were listed as a beneficiary because you're my wife. She removed that designation because of what you said. This is ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. You're choosing your mother over me. No, Christina. You're the one who made this choice. You could have kept your mouth closed. You could have been kind. You could have respected the woman who was hosting you in her home. But you couldn't do that. You had to say something cruel. I heard her breathing on the other end. You knew, she said. You knew about this the whole time. You sat there and said nothing. You let your mother change everything and you didn't even tell me. I didn't know until the morning after. And I didn't tell you because I needed to think about what I wanted to do. And what did you decide? I looked at my mother. She was watching me, waiting. I decided that my mother has been nothing but kind to you, I said. I decided that you have spent years finding faults with her. I decided that the way you treated her at Thanksgiving was the last straw, and I decided that I agree with her. You don't get to benefit from her generosity after treating her like that. Are you serious right now? I'm serious. I'm done defending you. I'm done making excuses. I'm done pretending that your comments are harmless jokes. They're not, they're cruel, and I'm done. Then I guess we have nothing else to talk about. The line went dead. That was the beginning of the end. We separated 6 months later. The divorce took another year. Christina moved out. The kids stayed with me during the week and spent weekends with her. The court didn't award Christina anything from the trust. The lawyer made that clear. It was never marital property. It was my mother's separate estate. She had every right to allocate it as she chose. My mother lived another 4 years. She saw all 4 grandchildren graduate high school. She saw 2 of them start college. She saw one of them get married. She gave the couples their wedding money at the receptions. She gave the college students their tuition payments in person. She made sure each grandchild knew exactly where this money came from and what it meant. The whole family knew. They all knew what Christina had said and what it cost her. Christina remarried 3 years ago. She has a new life now. I wish her well. I'm not the kind of person who holds grudges. But sometimes I think about that Thanksgiving. I think about sitting at the table. I think about the silence. I think about my mother pushing her plate away and walking to the bathroom for 20 minutes. I think about what could have happened if Christina had just kept her mouth closed, if she had been kind, if she had been gracious, if she had been the person I thought I married. The money is all gone now anyway. My mother passed 2 years ago. The trust distributed everything according to her wishes. Every grandchild got $85,000. That money bought houses. It paid for educations. It gave my children starts in life that they wouldn't have had otherwise. Christina got nothing, not because I took it from her, because she excluded herself with her own words. I don't regret staying quiet that night. I don't regret my slow burn approach, watching and waiting and letting the consequences unfold. My father taught me that the people who talk the loudest usually have the least to offer. I've found that to be true. Some lessons you learn early and carry with you your whole life. Some lessons cost you everything you thought you had. But in the end, I'm okay. My children are okay, and my mother's legacy lives on. If this story resonated with you, join our channel by liking and subscribing for more real, raw, and family-centered stories. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.